Hello, everyone. I wasn't even paying attention. This will only be for people who get the replay because I know for the first 2 minutes it doesn't even show up. But hello, welcome to Evolution Solutions with Tom and Jess. We're getting into an interesting issue this time. Is your human nature being used against you? If you are jumping on, please do say hello. Hey, Jane. Interesting discussion tonight. I want to talk about our human nature. Tom, a therapist of 20 years. Me, someone who has been obsessed with what it is to be human, obsessed with what transformation is and transformational leadership. Hello, Naomi. So, yeah, I'd love your thoughts. And just as I say this question, right, we're going to explore this question tonight. What else have I put about this? You know, everyone has FOMO. Everyone by nature gets FOMO. Everyone by nature gets procrastination. And we want to explore how, hello, Holly, Rashid, we want to explore how the media uses this potentially. I don't want to draw that assumption because that's a little bit loose maybe, but I want to explore that maybe the media is using this, and then not only media, but potentially business use this as a tool with the intention of making money. And maybe that's what's going on where we don't like sales. You know, maybe this whole thing about sales and this whole thing about greed is because it is driven by our own humanity being used against us. So that's what we're opening up, and I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are on that. Is there anything you want to say about what we're exploring tonight, Tom?
Well, I just want to add the particularly difficult area in the world of personal development or spiritual development. We're here to help people transcend their fears, help them to feel more happy in themselves, help them to not be so obsessed to aspirational thinking that there's somewhere to get to or that there's something to achieve. And yet it is so common within that very specific industry to use scarcity, manipulation, FOMO, pretension, like creating a reputation of being a perfect, constantly abundant, blissed out being all the time. And if you get to my vibrational level, you'll orgasm for a week and just money will just drip through your chimney. It's just like, really, it's just, what the fuck is happening out there? It's like, well, these are people who are meant to be really, really, really helping people transcend all of that stuff. And it's like, yeah, if we get clear of our doubts and our fears, is it more likely that we'll live more abundantly? Definitely. Is it okay to talk about that? Yeah, I think it is, but not with like last few places remaining. And if you don't buy now, the price will go up, and just so many bogus approaches. And yeah, I think we're all exhausted from this constant marketing messaging, which is just become acceptable to manipulate as absolute standard, to use fear as a way, and an imagined sense of lack as a way of driving people to take action. And I've seen so many people justify it. It's like, well, I'm going to help them. And, people have an inertia issue and they don't like spending money, and therefore you have to apply this pressure to get them to pull the trigger. And then once you've got them at your event, you can tell them it's all about heart and contribution and tea. You're like, yeah, but if you engage with them in that way, they're going to come on that training and then be looking to see how they can profit first and care second, because that's what you've done.
I think this is really interesting because you know how I love to do this? I like to look at myself and go, I wonder if I'm doing this in my business, right? I want to have a look at that and see if there is some sort of element of me doing this before I start to point out anyone else's potential, what's been done to me. What actually came to me today is I had a client that I worked with, and he said, I work with a lot of spiritual people, and one of the biggest issues that I have is that a lot of people who are spiritual, and this is a mass generalization, but they've got evidence for it, is that they don't like money. and they don't want to work with money, and they don't want to ask for money. And so there's a lot of what I call these money blocks. And what I can see is it's because of this kind of world of this paradigm of what you're pointing to, of manipulation. And like you put it there, apply that pressure. It's in their best interest. We'll tell them later. It's going to be it's for their own good, right? And so people end up buying into that this is going to solve some problem for them. Like it's going to go away. Like the problem is gone the moment you do my program. Like if you just do my program, you'll become a 6-figure, 7-figure entrepreneur. If you just do it, right? And then people do it, spend the money. They realize what it actually fucking takes to be an entrepreneur. And excuse my language, I'm trying not to swear. And then you're like, why?
Well, no, I'm just like, as a result of interacting with more Australians in the last year than I ever have, my swearing has massively got worse. So yeah, it's refreshing didn't realize you even cared, so it's good.
I do think it does sometimes take away from the message. So I'm just, swearing, I like to swear, but I also know that it can sometimes take away from the message. But let's have a look, right? I assert that as human nature, and I'm asserting this based on my own experience of leading to a lot of people, and I've done some transformational courses, one of which was about communication. And in that course, they talked about what they refer to as like the default human communication. And in that, they said that as a default, like as a group of human beings that came together on this planet and they just happen to be here right now in the 20th century, somehow through ancestral conditioning and somehow through a whole lot of what they said was right and wrong and good and bad, we've ended up in a place where as a default, we think that we have to control, manipulate, convince. What was the other one? In order to get a result. Right. So I'm just going to put out there, and I did this course and they basically kind of put you through a process where you have a look at where you do it. And I could see I was doing it everywhere.
Yeah.
I could see when I wanted my partner to do what I want, I used to cry. Like it was pretty confronting. Like they made me really look, right? I could see that crying was actually a way my brain had determined that if I really want to get what I want, I can pull a guilt card, and that was a way of manipulating them into feeling sorry for me and getting what I want. I didn't even realize that I did it until I did that course. And then there was convincing. I could tell that I searched and did all this research so that I could come up with the best argument to convince people into my way of thinking. Right. So I had to unlearn all of this, Tom. So I want to assert that maybe, just maybe, not that I'm saying it, I'd be curious to see what you're thinking, that just maybe we've ended up in a condition where manipulation, control, domination was another one. These words are pretty heavy words, but really they're just words, right? I'm not trying to add drama to it. It's just like we ended up in a state where this stuff is just the way we do things. And manipulation isn't some psychopath that's lurking in the corner going, I'm going to manipulate you. It's not. It's like, you don't do what I want? Well, F you, I'm not going to be your friend. That's manipulation. It is. It's like, I'm going to give you a consequence.
But also as well, it's about transition, right? So if you're in the business of transition, which is taking someone from one state to another, or helping them move from one place to another in their own development, it's like that. People are signing up. They're signing up to be manipulated in terms of the principle, to be influenced. I use it with my daughter all the time. She's a bit resistant around food, and so I say to her today, "Do you want to eat standing up at the table or sitting down?" Right? Now, that's a closed sales process, right? Whereby which she thinks she's making a decision about whether she's sitting or standing, but she doesn't realize she's covertly agreeing to eating at either of those locations, right? Now, completely. And
they call that positive parenting. So manipulation is now the positive.
Yeah, but it's better than it is better than having a massive about it. But I want to speak to something that Sky just said. She said, I definitely agree about money blocks, but it's really about not liking money. For most people, generalizing, it's about not loving themselves and not feeling that they deserve abundance. There's definitely truth in that. But also there is this other layer for people who are in service-based personal development or spiritual development industries where they really don't want to be the money guys, because it's like there's two camps. There's the people who are just shamelessly happy to say, I'm going to create change for you. It's going to cost a lot of money and it's going to deliver a result and it's going to be great. Now, I put myself in that camp, but I try and present those messages just from a place of it's going to feel good, and that will enable you to do some things, and there is profit there for you, and I'm happy to charge you handsomely for that. But I'm not going to use scarcity. I'm not going to use fear. I'm going to use positive sell messages, that it feels great to help people. I can help you help people with some great tools, and that will be profitable for you, and I'm happy to charge you for that service, right? I have no shame about that. I charge a lot for my training. It's a good training, and people go on to make a lot of money having done it, right? But what I don't do is I don't use fear. But what there is a secondary level of resistance in the world of spirituality, and I used to have it. I know because I had to go through it. It's the idea that charging, in principle, charging for personal development or spiritual development is somehow corrupt, that it's not okay, that it's actually, you're exploiting people, and you're charging for love. Ultimately it's universal love and unconditional love that will free people, and therefore making it conditional that you will charge them and then you will give them love. For some people it really goes against the rules, really goes against, the rules to be paid to deliver Dharma. And I think I did that for a long time, and then for 2 years I gave everything I did away for free. And I learned the hard way that is also not the way to do it. There's all sorts of weird corruptions in that, and there's no skin in the game, and no invest in the process, and people are just not taking responsibility for their own well-being. So I learned what I believe to be this middle ground, which is okay to charge, but it's not okay to use fear to push people to purchase. But including that, but also representing yourself as some perfect being that never has a bad day.
That's key. And I actually think, by default, so I've been in brand and marketing and sales for a very long time, right? I even got out of my corporate role because I could not be in it anymore. I couldn't be in it. I love it. Someone's referring to last week. Amanda Jackson, sorry you missed last week's. Okay. It's a really good one. It really is. And I just want to also acknowledge those people that came on. Christy, hello Christy. Hello Helen. Sky, I think I've acknowledged you. And who else is there? There's Amanda and Donna, who I can see are here as well. If there's anyone I'm missing, I may not be able to see you just because of that. But what do I want to say about that? What I could see was that the very nature of what you're getting taught as a marketer and what you're getting taught in sales, so the very curriculum that underpins brand marketing and sales, these are three things that I go into. I'm going to shamelessly plug right now. I don't think I'm allowed to in Earth Elders. I'm not meaning to shamelessly plug, but I've created it's an incidental plug. But essentially, I created a curriculum because I couldn't deal with the basis and the very foundations in which this stuff was being taught. So basically, when we think of brand as a concept is basically create this kind of story around the thing you're selling, like an entity. And it was created because things were centralized, right? So we had these we had banks, we had financial services. They don't belong to one person. We had this like centralized system. So we needed to create a brand because it wasn't a person. And then marketing was about being able to make that entity really reflect and look really good. And brand and marketing were also about getting attention. So this is about getting attention, right? But that was because it was also centralized. So you had these groups of people that had to kind of come up with their own personality so that people could decide whether they liked and trusted that particular personality and whether they'd buy. And sales then became about convincing that person that they were better than others, right? So now we're in the world of competition. Now we're in the world of our entity looks better, sounds better, is better. Right? So that's the old paradigm, but that was all that there was. So it then became about attention. How do you get attention? How do you get awareness? And so what they found, particularly with the rise of AI, is that, hello, Jess Palmer, hello, Jane, the rise of AI is that we've gotten so much data on people that we can actually tell how they operate as human beings. What they like, what they don't like, when they sleep, when they don't sleep, what car they buy, what's their favorite color, what are the things they say to their partners in chat, on Snapchat that no one even sees. Like, even though no one's really watching, the algorithm knows and then can give them back exactly what they want to see, want to hear, right? So now we've got this situation where at large, we know generally what people want is to be sexually aroused because they mostly are distracted by life. So we've got this procrastination thing. So we're getting procrastinated because we don't want to deal with certain things. So distraction, I'll say this another way. Distraction is one of the biggest human problems on the planet. It's not a problem per se, but let's just say it's something in our human nature. We get distracted. So distractions at a rise. What do we use for distraction to deal with things that are difficult? We use sex, we use relief, and we use fun. Relief, holidays, fun, that can look like parties and certain things. So no matter what you do, make it look like you're going to get laid and it's going to be a party, even if you're selling tennis balls, right? And if you look at all the marketing out there, that's what we see. It's everywhere. Right? You got to look like, to get attention, you got to look like. So now what I can see we're doing is that we're competing over who can provide the most attention, who can look like it's the most hot, going to get you laid the most, going to have the most fun while you're trying to go and just buy a tennis ball, right? Where am I going with this?
You asking me or yourself?
Kind of a bit of both. I'm just thinking. I did have a point. I just went on a tangent
right now so badly.
I know, right? Effectively, what we've ended up with is, from what I can see, the space that was particularly used in corporate financial services is now fully gone online, and every kind of person, I'm not going to say every because I'm trying not to generalize and I usually get people going, I'm generalizing, but let's just say there's a lot of different courses out there now that are trying to promise you that you're not going to be human while you start to create a business online. If you just do my course, then you're going to get the magic pill that suddenly means you're not going to be human, so you won't procrastinate. You won't go and desire all the things that we know that human beings actually desire. And I'll solve your problem, except I'm going to charge you $10,000 for you. And if you don't do it, that's on you. It's not my problem. You've just got no responsibility. I don't know what I'm saying. I just wanted to say it. I don't know where I'm going with this now.
No, you do. I know where you're going with it. You're talking about...
I'm going somewhere.
Yeah, what you're just talking about right now, there's just, it's really interesting. I think Facebook currently has got its own balance of sales and social interaction wrong, massively wrong. Way off, right? I think I'm totally happy for people to build sustainable models, and Facebook is in a place now where they're generating a lot of advertising revenue, and I think they are really getting the balance wrong. And as a result of that, it's like we've been given taking the course in good and bad marketing, right? And we're bombarded, and it's like
Bombarded.
And also, of course, there are so many people out there that are selling by posting socially, right? So it's social media. So they're sharing of their life, and it's 80% sharing, and it's 20% sales. And so now, half the time when I'm reading a really beautiful post, I know that at the end of that post, there's going to be, and if you want help with that, then send me a private message, right? And it's just like, sometimes that invalidates what feels like the authenticity of the original message. And other times I'm totally fine with it because it's been done brilliantly and really authentically. And I know the people are awesome. I know what they're doing is great value. And that might be that they're charging a fortune, but it's worth it. Or maybe it's really reasonable and it's worth it. But I just think there is so much out there that the last few places remaining, the scarcity, the sign up now before the price goes up, the idea that there is a magic pill and that you don't need to be yourself and that you can, just follow this formula. One of the biggest problems we have in the world in parent training and in spirituality training is that someone does something and it works really well. Then they get 20 people in a room and they tell 20 people, do this thing, it works really well. 15 of the people, it doesn't resonate. Either they didn't try it or they tried it doesn't work. 5 of those people, oh my God, it changed their life. So the woman at the front of the room is like, this thing really, really works. So she spends money on advertising. I've now got the answer, right? And every time it's not the answer, it's a answer and it resonates with some people, right? But the feedback of excellence they get from the people it works with, they don't get the feedback from people it doesn't because they don't engage, they don't return, they don't buy again. And so we start living in these self-reflected wills where we start believing in our power way more. Truth is, what we do probably would be powerful for a very small percentage of people. And it's really important to remember that. And yet people just start, just really believing that their way is the way, and it isn't transferable. I'm very aware it takes a very unique type of person to be able to take my model and make it work for people. And so it's not appropriate for me. I can train anybody. You just need to do what I do because not everybody can do what I do.
No, I think actually that's probably what we're distinguishing here, because I'm like, what am I trying to say? It's not even clear to me. That's why we have these discussions so we can really tease it out. But I know what doesn't sit well with me is, and I do this myself, right? It's like we're talking about manipulation. We're talking about convincing, where as human beings, we kind of by default do these things is what I'm pointing at. I actually have to stop myself from going there. I know as a business strategist, I know that getting a lot of attention is key. That is key anyway, right? You've got to get out there if you want people to see your work. You just have to, right? Mm-hmm. That's got nothing to do with like dominating or controlling or manipulating. It's like you actually do have to get attention. Agreed. But what I can hear is that what matters is the intention behind the intention. There are some days that I wake up and I go, I know I have to be consistent. I know I have to be persistent. My intention behind my attention sometimes is legit just because I know I need to post. Because I know from all my training that I've even got a formula in my business, right? I'll give it away just so you know, everyone. This is free $2,000 worth of coaching right here. The formula is what I call 153. Mm-hmm. You have to post one post a day. You have to go 5 stories a day and 3 Facebook Lives. Why? Because people don't know who you are. And without you getting out there and people can't see who you are, they don't know if they can trust you. So it is about trust. So the intention is building trust, even though that's a strategy, right? Mm-hmm. That's where it comes from. Mm-hmm. Just put yourself out there so people can see what you're about.
Yeah.
Don't be strategic. Don't try and work out how you need to come across. Just actually talk to people. Just get out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, there's no convincing. There's no manipulation in that. However, how come it seems as though, and I want to get curious about this, how come it seems as though when people show up just being themselves and trying to put themselves out there, how come people might perceive it like that?
Probably because they know that behind it there is a marketing strategy. I see. I don't have an issue.
Okay.
I don't have an issue with someone who is involved in marketing. You're right. This whole build it and they will come, field of dreams bullshit. I tried that many times, building brilliant products and services. And then you wait, and it's literally like waiting for a phone to ring when the wire has been cut, right? The world needs, especially in the world of online, the world needs to know what you are offering. And for me, the interesting thing is sometimes I have done great courses like you did, Sally Sophia's Sally Love's course, right?
I did.
You raved about it, right? And I have done courses, right, and raved about it. And I know if I did Sally's course, I don't know if it's just for women, but if I did that, I would have no shame in just ranting about it, right? Because I know from, the quality of her work, and same with Jess Palmer, the care she puts into training coaches. If I did that training, I'm sure I would rave about it. Now, what's interesting was, and I'm really good I've even convinced, not manipulated, but have been incredibly convincing in insisting that friends and family members go away and do a certain course because it would really, really serve them, right? But what I noticed was that I hadn't been doing that for my own offering. And yet I feel that way about my trainings sometimes, that they're really good and they would really serve people. And so I have been giving myself permission at times when I've really felt an alignment to actually be really much more passionate about saying, I think this would be really great for you, and it has felt convenient. But it's like, for me, if it's okay for me to do that for someone else's offering, it is also okay in this world to stand up in a group and stand on a chair and say, I have a skill for this. And this is where this is my flag. And if this resonates, come over here and I can support you. It's like, I think there's beauty in that. I would actually say that your balance and how you're going about that, you add a lot of value. Your posts actually give people stuff to work with and use and get them thinking and inspiring. And it's not just, I've got stuff I could share with you, but I'll only share it if you give $2,000, You're adding a lot of value and you're sharing a lot of things. Again, same with Sally, same with and lots of other people I see posting. And Emily and so on. It's just like, it's great stuff. It makes me feel better about myself. It inspires me to be a better human. And it reminds me that they're in the business of doing that. I think that's great. That's stand in the chair saying, I'm passionate. I've got things I can share with you that are valuable and awesome. And this is where I am. Not, there's this one thing you're probably not doing and it will make all the difference for you going 7 figures. And you should be at 7 figures. Otherwise you're a piece of shit. And I will share this with you, if you just give me your email. And then when I sign up, I went on one the other day, right? Check this out, right? It was $17.99 for a list of strategies or something like that. I thought that's fair enough. And I know now that when I click there, before I finalize my purchase, there's going to be another video telling me another thing, which is going to be $39, right? Right?
Yep.
I know that.
And then another one for 500. Yeah.
There's going to be another option of actually, you know what, you can do this yourself, but someone from my team will call you and that will be, 200, should be 1,000, but it will only be 250, right?
Yeah.
I was on one the other day, Jess. It was 7 fucking upsells. 7 upsells. It was insane. The process, I really wanted the original file, right? So it was like, I was there for about 35 minutes saying no to upsells. I couldn't even process my order until I'd been exposed to all these upsells. I was just like, I was so angry at the end of it. I wanted to fly to the country this guy was in and just beat him around the head with a salmon. I felt exploited. I felt manipulated. I felt abused. I felt it was ugly and painful and wrong. And it's just like, I think the area in which I get most frustrated is it's almost like the whole world of online selling has become like a massive Ponzi scheme, and especially people who are selling people on how to sell people online. Okay, so you're in a delicate business, because this is part of what you do, right? And it's just like, and it's like most of those people are not making money selling products or services. They're making their millions of pounds, which they show on their screenshots, by selling people on how to sell people. And the people who are buying aren't selling service or products. They're selling to people that want to know how to sell people online. And it's like a big pyramid system. And it's like, yeah, you've made 7 figures, but you're selling how to sell. And the people buying are buying how to sell, to how they're going to sell. And it's just, and everyone's reading from the same playbook, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, and this is people who from the coaching and the personal development industry are borrowing from the same thing. And it's putting off the more spiritual, the people who don't want to be about money. And it's collapsing for them that actually doing sales and marketing is wrong. So they become almost allergic to money, desperately not wanting to appear to be money grabbing, because they don't want to be anything like those other people. And I think, you know, I created, you know, as I'm sure you'll explain, marketing is an experiment, and you try something and you see if it works, and you do more of that if it does, and you keep playing with it, right? I did a marketing message for my last course, which literally had the title, "A Marketing Message Without Any Manipulation," right? And I really enjoyed trying to put out a message which specifically didn't have any of that bullshit in it. I didn't do that well, interestingly, in terms of gaining interest or gaining respect. But I chose next time to put out a video which just said, how would it feel to help this person do this or do that? I wanted to appeal to people that really want to serve without any scarcity at all, just to emotionally connect with people that really wanted to help other people overcome their difficulties and achieve their goals. And that one has been amazing. I think it's okay to say what we do and to be honest about it. I think in human psychology, it's almost been wrong to stand up on a chair and say, hey, I'm really good at this. It's like being up yourself, or it's not allowed. I think we need to change that so that we don't need to manipulate or have a Lamborghini in our advert to make people think that we're successful, that we've just rented down the road. You know, it's like, how can we create a space where people are allowed to say, hey, no bullshit, but I'm really good at this. This is just what I do. And just put their little flag in the sand, you know?
Yeah. And I think, you know, for me, I talk about creating opportunity, not like attachment. So someone even wrote it here, like, thanks, it's letting go of attachment to the outcome, right? So it's like one of the things I notice that I have to undo in my own courses is that people think that a no is somehow like extremely significant, when 80 to 90% of your conversations are going to end up as a no. 20% of those down the track will convert potentially into something, but you're only looking at getting about 10% of yeses anyway. But in order to get consistency and momentum and attraction, you actually have to talk to a lot of people and get a lot of no's. But it's never no, I don't like your product. It's like, that's a great idea generally, but no, not now. Like, it's like, not for me right now, right? Or maybe I don't want to start a business, or maybe I'd rather go get coaching training, or, you know, maybe I want to go and do a shamanic retreat, or, you know, people have choice. There's so much choices out here. But I have to spend a lot of time undoing the actual experience of rejection, which I think is interesting, around people getting a no. So there's what you're talking about. There's actually putting yourself out there and asking and going, this is what I sell. Would you like it? But then there's really a lot of, I would say, you know, maybe because of all of the manipulation, people don't want to occur or seem like they're doing it. So a no somehow then means that they're received that way. So now we're trying to avoid being received as manipulating. And in doing that, we're resisting it and then possibly looking like we are anyway. You know, it's like,
I think that's really,
about this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really important. But I think the distinction which someone helped me see was that there's a difference between people collapsed marketing and sales. So people often marketing, right, and then they don't have a sales process. Okay, and so they do marketing, and then they maybe just check in: is it yes or is it no? Right. I worked with a friend of mine, and he just said, "Let me just look at your model, right?" Because I was, struggling a little bit. This is some years back. He's like, "Where's your sales?" I was like, "Here," and I pointed to all my marketing activities. He's like, "That's not sales, that's marketing." And in my head, I was like, "Well, they say sales and marketing; it's the same thing." He's like, "They might say them together because they go hand in hand. They're different things." I'm like, when are you calling up people and having conversations and giving the opportunity to say yes or no to your offer? That's sales. I'm like, oh, I'm happy doing marketing. I've got over saying, oh, actually, I'm quite good at this and it would really benefit you. I can do that. I don't want to do that. If you don't do it, your legs are going to fall off, and you need to act now, last few places remaining. But I'm okay saying, I do this, I'm good at it, it will serve you, this is what it's worth. But there's this whole other hurdle of, can I be the guy who will call up and say, hey, is this a yes? What are your concerns? What might your objectives be? How can I continue to present you in a way where I can, in my world, lovingly get you to see the value for yourself and others, right? But that world of sales is often super manipulative and sleazy and ugly, and it isn't about compatibility, and it isn't sincerely interested about alignment. It is literally about getting numbers on seats, bums on seats. And a lot of people aren't even aware of that distinction between marketing and sales.
No, it's a good point, and I think maybe this is where it lives because, I have a number of people who are business owners that earn a lot of money. And one of the things I see is different between those that receive a lot of money and those that don't is the willingness to actually be in sales.
Yeah.
Is the willingness to go out there. I mean, I just had recently a conversation with this incredible client that's doing incredible work, but the resistance to having sales conversations and the resistance to going, I'm going to go out and say, do you want my services? Just randomly to people that are in my network was like, I am not doing that, right? I'm not, because it would diminish the credibility of her work, right? In her view. And I so get it. I so understand I guess you'd call it like this wounding in a sense. It's like slimy wounding, slimy, salesy wounding that we all have and we do not want to be like. Right.
Yeah. I mean, what Jess is saying is so true, though, that she says, I love people who are open with what they're selling and backing themselves. But you see, it's like we're talking about marketing is like dancing really well on the dance floor near to someone, hoping that they will fancy us, right? Right. And as a strategy, is it likely some courageous people will step towards us and just immediately want to connect with us? Maybe. But more often than not, we have to dance really well in front of them, attract their attention, look like someone that they want to be with, and then also ask them if they would like a kiss. Do you know what I mean? It's like there is a process where we have to put ourselves up and give people a chance to say yes or no. And that is, sealing the deal. And within sales, so many people actually, they ask the question and they start paddling the canoe backwards, offering reductions or payment plans, and if you don't want to, just holding in your value, saying, this is what it is, this is what it costs. Would you like to do it? And then being completely silent, right?
There's so much shit people have to deal with to get there. That's
sales, right? Here's the value. I see what you want. This is where you need to get. This is what it's worth to you, right? And this is what I will do for you, and this is what it will cost, right? Right? And then being quiet, right? That's the key. Like, can you rest in your value and then let their people then truly respond and then not manipulate from there? But what I've seen is working towards being able to just do that. People, almost the ability to do that is what establishes the value in people's minds. And that's not manipulation. That's authentic for me. That's authentic, and it's important. And we need people who are not shying away from a sales process because it looks sleazy and they don't want to be that person. We need more people who are changing the way in which we think about sales. Kezia Lee, she's like, I love being pitched because
Me too.
So like pitch me, like honestly, like pitch me. You know, I'm open because I'm abundant and I want to be offered things and I want to offer things. And so it's like, when she started speaking, like I was like, yeah, it's like we need to change this idea. We all hate being, a lot of people say, oh God, a salesperson called me, some cold calling person. And it's like, bad sales is bad sales. But if someone wants to call me up, offer something to buy that I would really love to buy, I wouldn't hate it. I'd be really grateful.
Yeah, it's funny that you say this, because I even say to my clients, like the guy that I had today, he said, you know, I'm really looking forward to working with you. And I said, if I do a good job, I will teach you how to pitch to me and I'll be buying off you.
Nice.
Because your product will be so great that I want to buy it. Because I don't believe that there's this like Jess is the master and I have the authority now on whatever I'm on the authority on, and that means that I have to now keep this distance and make it look like I am very much the master teacher here and I could never buy off you. No, I believe actually we all have something really valuable to offer. And it really is about creating, for me, good sales is leadership. Sales is the ability to create the opportunity and possibility for someone else to step into something they've never stepped into that solves a problem and is of great value to them. You know, that's what sales really is.
Hallelujah.
You know, and it got turned into, and that's why commitment is a big thing for me. So some people who end up being on calls with me, if they go, yeah, I'll buy it. Some people do that. And then I go, are you really going to? Or are you just saying that, you know? And they'll go, well, yeah, but just send me the info. I will actually say, I'm not going to send you the info if all you're doing is telling me that so you can blow me off. If you really want this, then you sign up now. Yeah. And a lot of people get very confronted by that, right? But I'm like, I'm not here to mess around. If you really want this opportunity, it's only going to become real when you actually do take the action, right? So I really do get that. It's only going to become real. Otherwise, let's not waste each other's time. Just tell me you can't be bothered. Yeah. You've got no intention. We don't have to waste each other's time.
Yeah, people would see that as push. Some people might see that as pushy salesmanship. But for me, that's just about like, let's not waste time, right? And being accountable. And being honest and open about it, because otherwise, you know, they might stay on your sales list, right? And then you're going to call them a month later, and it's just a waste of everybody's time. And you know, in the past I've done that. I've brushed off someone, and they're like, "You're interested?" I'm like, "I'm interested. Now it's just not the right time." I'm not interested. I just haven't had the ability to say that, right? So then they call me up a month later, and it's an absolutely pointless and painful conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Sky said, not everyone works that way. Absolutely, Sky. But there is no way, as you know, because you've done my programs, there is no way that if someone doesn't work that way, that they're going to get to the end of my program successfully. Okay? It's like, I know my audience, and a part of it is that I have to actually assert that there's a lot of commitment involved in what I do. So if someone can't, I actually really believe this with whoever you are. If you can't be a demonstration of the process you're going to go through in the program or whatever you are selling, then they're going to get into, you know, inner child healing, or they're going to get into what I do in terms of, you know, creating entrepreneurs. And then they're going to go, oh, I can't do this. Well, you've got to really demonstrate what's required in the beginning. It's like, if you're doing inner child healing, you're going to be like, we're going to go into some deep shit here. If you're not willing to get into some deep shit, you probably shouldn't do this, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be open. Yeah.
So there's been questions asked. So someone said, what do you think about the Healy, Jess? Huge money is being made. I won't mention names, but they're Bali based.
I know people that are selling Healy. I think it's like everything, right? I mean, personally,
what is
Healy? It's a device. That, you know, who asked that question? Whatever. Amanda. Here's what I can tell you. I haven't got that device, but I hear it is doing wonders for people, right? Like I've got some friends that have got it, and they think it's amazing. I personally find it weird that it's messing with my vibration. Okay. So I haven't quite got over whatever that hurdle is in my own thinking.
What does it look like? What's it do?
It's a little device like this.
Uh,
And I'm such a self-made, human being, and I'm all about personal empowerment. I'm like, don't let this fucking device go near me. So it's going to mess with my vibration.
Do you attach wires to yourself? Is it kind of an energetic?
I don't actually know. I'm probably not going to do it much justice. But it picks up. Yeah, it's a frequency healing device. So it basically picks up frequency. And then you can tell certain parts of your body that are actually out of frequency, and then it aligns it.
Mm-hmm.
And it can even tell you, like, I've had people that have got issues with their kidneys, and it even picks up that there's an issue with their kidneys and have gone to the doctor and dealt with it. Like, it's pretty interesting how it picks up certain frequencies in the body,
Mm-hmm.
right? So here it's doing wonders. It's just that I've never gotten over the personal thinking behind it, because the fact that it does that, it's been pretty good. But but with plant medicine, for example, I was dead against that and have been for a very long time, and I've suddenly moved through that process, and I'm open to doing that, and we'll be doing it shortly. So it's like, I no doubt that will change. Now, someone sold it to me in a way that it created an opportunity for me, as opposed to, and something really new and valuable that would make a difference to my future. So someone gave me and had me see the opportunity where I didn't feel pressured. I didn't feel manipulated. I felt free. I felt like this is a great opportunity. And so now the idea of, trying some of the legal plant medicines I'm just going to say legal. Some of the legal plant medicines seem like a good idea, right? But I wasn't always okay with it. I wasn't. Anyway, I don't know how we got here, but I'm on a tangent. What comments? 99% of the time I don't ask for the sale. They ask, unless I'm in a live event selling from the stage, then I'll pitch. That's interesting, Jess. That's 99% you don't ask. 99% of the time I ask. But I'm 100% okay with a no, or not now, or I'm not interested. Like, I'm really wanting people to be fully in it before I'd ever sign someone up, per se.
Yep.
So maybe there's, I don't know.
I just think, there's just I think in the simplest terms, as we always get to in this kind of show, it's about people being honest about who they are, not using pretense to sell, not making false promises, not implying that anything's easy, because very few things are easy, anything of real value, and not believing your way is the only way, or your machine is the only way, and being honest about what it is to engage in whatever it is that you're doing. Like, for my training, if you're not willing to go on a very powerful personal development journey, then forget it. You're not going to like it. You're not going to handle it, and you're not going to be able to understand the techniques well enough to use them with other people. It's like, know the people that your model works with. Be aware that your model is specifically contraindicated for certain types of people, like it's actually probably bad for them. Be actively involved in caring enough about who you're selling to make sure that you're not selling in the wrong way to the wrong people. You're not over-promising. You're not underplaying the level of commitment required. It's putting the heart and the human first, and the sale and the profit second. I think it's fine to stand up and say, hey, this is me and I'm really good at this. Not that if you don't use this, your legs will fall off and you must act now in order for me to trust that you're really in, right? I get the difference on your sales calls, because Sky was saying she would never make a decision straight away on the first call. What you're talking about is, when someone's just bullshitting you and they don't want to do it, and they're just not having the bollocks to say, or the ovaries to say, right now this isn't right for me, or it will never be right for me. So they say stuff like, oh, I need to speak to my partner, or I need some time. When someone sincerely needs time, I've never had an issue with that. It's just when someone says that and they know that they're not going to return your calls next time you try and speak to them, then it's good to press people to be honest, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point. It's probably the way that I said it, actually, because I very much am a commitment. I mean, commitment, as you would know, Sky, is one of the key distinctions, trainings, things that I teach, and what it really is to commit to something, right? So I'm very much always actively dealing with and listening for commitment, and whether it's there or whether it's not, and whether people are going yes and when they really mean no. But I mean, I don't commit 100. I never commit on my first call. So I 100% get that's not due to a lack of commitment. That's actually due to the fact that I know my human being very well, and I get extremely inspired by everyone all of the time. And so you really can pitch anything to me, and I will just see the possibility in it. And I would just love the idea of jumping in and taking on something new. And what I got is I can't do everything all at once. So I've got to take some time to make sure that I don't over
really
commit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have this wire. Okay, it's only $5,000, right? And I want you to, if you put it in your right shoe and walk around for 18 years, you will then become completely enlightened. And it's only $5,000, but you must buy it now.
Okay, but you said 18 years. So if you said 18 minutes, I'd do it. That would be some FOMO there, but 18 years. I mean, I could do some inner child healing, or I can become a coach with Jess Palmer,
True.
You guys are far more valuable for me. But you do, so I do get it. It does take obviously longer than that. But what I'm also pointing to is that when you've got to know who your audience is. You can't I just cannot work with people that completely change their mind constantly. I just can't. It's okay. It's actually, some human beings are like that, and that's absolutely fine. But if I'm teaching commitment, I'm teaching commitment. So if people are chopping and changing their minds and doing this, that, and the other, and I know that there are some spiritual people that value that as well. So it's not even like I'm saying it's wrong. In some cases, it's actually extremely valuable. But if you're going to do my programs, that's not what I'm about. I'm not about changing mind. Now, what I mean by that as well is it's not that you wouldn't pivot your business and do this and do that. It's like whatever you say you're going to do, you do it. You take the learning from it. You commit to it. You follow through. Some people don't do that, and some people don't want to do that. So I have to make that very clear. So other people don't do that. And there are absolutely other ways in which to run businesses other than the way that I do. Right? So you've got to be really clear on who you are dealing with. So you do have to, a part of sales, and I'll say it again, is leadership. You have to own who you are. You have to own that you're just one person in a big pool of hundreds of other people that will offer things that are different to you. And that might be better for them. You have to own that it's just one way, and you've got to give people choice to step into the opportunity of you, and that's their choice, and be completely okay if they say no.
And to be open about your frailties, your vulnerabilities, your flaws, so that you're not projecting this sense of perfection, which is just another form of manipulation,
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I'm very heady tonight. Like I still have this thing imprinted in my brain from you, Tom, where you said that your vagina just dries up when I get all strategic and I talk strategy. And I now feel like all I've done is talk about my genius this whole call, and I just feel like there's just everyone's got a dry vagina, and I'm just it's all shot.
Hold on a minute. If we're looking at topics which are going to add to moistness in the world, right? We've been talking about marketing and sales. Usually we're talking about polyamory and and having sex, not being drunk, and overcome, looking at rape and fantasy, and stuff which is a lot more juicy. So we've maybe been a bit more dry today.
You did say. We did say, just so you know, everyone who is listening, we did say that we were going to get on here and do something because we know we have a lot of coaches and business owners, and we wanted to add a lot of value tonight. But we got
dry as fuck, basically.
Who said that? Who?
I feel like you're very heady tonight too. Reticent of the old Jess. Yep, dry AF.
Who was that? I can't see. Who is that? Who is that? It doesn't tell me who, and I'm on Earth Elders.
Quick,
So someone
speak about orgasms, Jess. Quick, tell us about your relationship. How's it going?
really good. If she's probably listening, she's amazing. Now I'm going to get shy. Okay, so let me. I'm not going to say.
It's Jessica Palmer said that she's like, nah, strategy is sexy.
It is.
It is.
I think so too. And well, I don't. You go.
Well, I think the greatest strategy is something that you do, that Jessica Palmer does, that Sally does. Certainly something that I aspire to do, which is realizing that it's actually the greatest way is truly, truly being honest about who we are, being honest about what we're really good at. We back ourselves. And actually, really, really being in our juice, really being in our joy of being who we are, and knowing that is going to put off a lot of people, and it's going to attract the right people. And just to recognize we're then in a self-reflective loop where our community, our tribe might be raving about what we do, but we have to remember that that's very poignant and very specific for a few. And that doesn't make us a master. It doesn't make us special.
And then insert Sally Love. Sales can be juicy.
She's bringing in the sex magic. So she's just at home, just channeling all of her sales through her awesome sexuality, and just people are flooding to work with her, flooding at every end. I mean, it's just
they're sliding over to Sally's house. That's exactly.
They're sliding down the hill towards her, just using her sex magic lubrication, and it's just utterly abundant and glorious. It's good. You know what's happening here? That's right. We realized we've been a bit boring, and we're just trying to mention as many sexual things as possible in the last 5 minutes to make it a bit more interesting.
And you know what's interesting? We started off. That's how she got me to the retreat. That's right. I slid over there. She slid into my DMs.
Okay. So next week we can talk about sex magic rituals for the purpose of marketing. Sally, would you jump on and do it?
Actually, that's actually a really I'm very, very interested, because one of the things that I find about this is, again, I love the idea of sex magic. I do. I have tried, giving myself an orgasm and yelling out $10 million. I haven't quite got it yet. Heard that's a thing. There's actually a meditation on Spotify by Victoria Redbard that you can listen to for that. But another part of this, and I just want to, in the spiritual community, because sex magic or tapping into your Eros, or really bringing that on, and I have been trying it. Like, I have been getting into it. It's quite, it's a very fun way to make sales, let me tell you. But I think that, again, it's something that it's like, if I talk about, my M&M friends, and I do have one particular friend that will know people will know who I'm talking about, or she'll know who I'm talking about, that I call my meditation and masturbation friend. Oh. She doesn't actually do any work. She doesn't actually make any sales. Well, she does, actually. She's quite good at it. But she does nothing compared to what I do. Like, I feel like I'm working all day, and I call her and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm at the beach, about this, about that. And then she will literally just make a sale, right? And that legit is all she does all day. But it leaves me feeling like, and I just want to make this clear. This is also a part of what it is it's like, there's nothing wrong with you if you don't do that and you do it in other ways. There's nothing wrong as if you're not high, at home, getting off all the time or not wanting to. It's actually okay if you just want to make sales calls. Okay, it's actually okay. I started feeling super inadequate because I was really bad at that.
You felt hold on, let me be clear. You felt super inadequate because you weren't running your sales process through masturbation, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's good to have different models, different things. It's all about experimenting. Definitely don't feel super bad about yourself if you're not sex magicking all day long. But I will say this, that for a number of reasons, the last couple of months, a big move and so on, I wasn't able to do what I was doing before, which was promoting a course and then putting quite a lot of effort into trying to convert interest into getting people to do my training. And I actually, because of the move and different things, I tried a very different approach. I leant back. I trusted in the value I've added over the year. And I just spent some time just feeling that people were attracted to it and wanting to do it. And I didn't add to that. It didn't add to my masturbation or my sex practice. But I definitely held it much more lightly with much more faith and just thought, whilst I'm too busy or preoccupied to do it the other way, let's try it this way because it's my only option. And actually had a magical number of people wanting to join it. I definitely think the old model is about push and pressure and scarcity and manipulation. And I do think there's a more evolved way, which is about faith and trust and abundance. And of course, our sexual energy is a great way of us feeling like live and vibrant and vital. And yes, that pleasure burns through doubt, burns through fear, burns through a sense of separation. So I think, it's not necessarily about masturbation. It's like, what mindset does that create? We can create that without the masturbation. So yeah, maybe we can talk more about this next time.
I think it's a great topic, actually. I don't think I quite got my point across before, but I don't quite know how to articulate it. Let's do that next week, because I know you probably have to go. I was attempting to talk about sex magic, but I don't think I did it so well. But attraction, I'm going to leave it there. So for everyone who tuned in tonight, thank you. We started off by, that's right, I was going to talk about that. We started off by talking about sex and are you having your human nature be used against you? That's where I was going with it. So again, sex magic is, I think, actually a real thing. I've watched, when I met Sally and I looked at her life, I was like, I want this kind of life. And I love how she actually does things. So that's why I did a retreat, right? That escalated quickly. It did, Jess.
That's the sex magic. It's an amplification.
I know. See what happens when Sally Love joins the live. It's what happens. But what I was pointing at is it can again become one of those things that is used against people. Like it's sex, you can use it against people's humanity. It becomes like, oh, there's this thing called sex magic and la la la. So therefore, if you're not if you're not attracting what you want or you're not doing it right, it then becomes an inadequacy. It's a thing. It's like brand marketing and sales. There's so many different strategies. Some work, some don't. Some work for you better than others. It's like it can't become another thing that then gets used against your humanity. That's what I was sort of bringing it back to, because sex is one of those things that really hooks people, really gets to people. Am I making sense? It makes sense in my head.
Yeah, of course. I understand. But I think it's a big topic. So let's dive into it.
Yeah, you have to go and actually...
I have to go, yeah.
Have sales calls. That's right.
I actually work with clients. Yeah.
That's right.
Cool. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in.
Yes, thank you, everyone who was on this tonight. Jess Palmer, Sally, Rachel, Tashka, who else is there? I can't see everyone. Sky, Gary. If I have missed you, if you're a Facebook user, I may not be able to see. Amanda,
Christy.
I love how you mentioned her at the end. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Until next time, till next week, we will do, we might just do sex magic in sales and marketing. See how that goes, will it?
Sex magic for every area of your life, including sales and marketing.
I think I feel inadequate to, see you, Christy. I feel inadequate to do this topic. I only just, worked out that I could actually, have sex without alcohol. I don't know.
Oh, you answered my question. Oh, excellent. Awesome.
Okay, I'm going. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.